Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into something pretty powerful this time, Psalm 4.
Okay, yeah, this one's all about hope and trust. Even when, well, things are really rough.
Exactly. We're using an excerpt from this book on hope. It digs deep into how Psalm 4 connects to, the bigger picture of faith, resilience and all that.
The thing about Psalm 4 is it's not just about asking for stuff. It's more about finding that inner peace, that security, when everything's kind of shaky around you.
Yeah, and there are some seriously interesting points in these verses. Like, did you know trembling before God isn't actually about fear?
Yeah, you'd think, right?
It's more like, well, we'll get into that. Well,
Yeah.
and get this, the idea of God's face shining is actually connected to real deep joy.
Those metaphors are so powerful. We're going to unpack how they point to a much deeper longing than just wanting things to go our way.
Okay, ready to jump in. Verse 1 starts with this cry for help. Answer me when I call to you, my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. I always thought it was kind of interesting that it starts like that, with a plea.
Yeah, that might seem counterintuitive, I guess.
Like, shouldn't it be more confident?
But think about it. Starting with a cry for help, that's actually a pretty deep show of trust. Like it's saying, hey, I know you're the one to turn to when things are tough. I know you have the power to change things.
So it's not demanding stuff from God. It's admitting he can actually, do something about the situation.
Exactly. It's vulnerability, but it comes from knowing who God is.
Instead of trying to tough it out alone, David's just honest, humble.
Right.
Makes you think about when we're struggling, huh? Where do we turn? Try to handle it ourselves or admit we need help from something bigger.
Powerful reminder that we don't have to go through tough times solo.
Then in verse 2, David gets straight up blunt. He's like, how long will you people turn my glory into shame? How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Wow. Strong words.
He's not messing around. You can feel that, like urgency in it. Frustration with people choosing fleeting things over a real connection with God.
Okay, so let's pause here for a sec. Think about what this means for us today. What are some of those false gods people chase after?
Oh, man. So many. I mean, it could be wealth, fame, even just like needing approval online.
Yeah, that constant validation.
Right. Anything that promises happiness, but then you end up empty. Like you're still searching for something more.
It's not that those things are bad-y, right? It's when they become more important than anything else.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, if we're chasing those things all the time, what does that say about what we really want deep down?
Okay, verse 3, here's a powerful one. Know that the Lord has set apart his faithful servant for himself. The Lord hears when I call to him. This whole set-apart idea is intriguing. What's it really about?
It's like a special relationship with God, being chosen for a specific purpose. Not just about blessings, though. It's about a life that reflects God's values. Different because of that connection.
So it comes with responsibility, too. Being chosen isn't just, getting what you want.
Right. It's about living up to that calling. Raises a big question for us.
Yeah.
If WE believe we're chosen for something, does that change our choices, our actions?
Ooh, that's a good one. Am I living how I believe, making choices that match that purpose?
It's easy to get caught up in the everyday stuff and lose sight of that bigger picture.
Right.
This verse reminds us to step back, ask, what am I truly living for?
Now, verse 4 is where things get really interesting for me. Tremble and do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. That word, tremble, man, it always gets me.
It's powerful, for sure, and easy to misunderstand. But remember, it's not about fear here. It's more like recognizing how awesome God is, his power, holiness, trembling with, awe, humility.
Yeah, I get that. Like when you're at the edge of a canyon, or looking at a sky full of stars. Not scared, but overwhelmed by how huge, how beautiful it all is.
Exactly. And that awe, it leads to self-reflection. That's the search your hearts part. When we actually stop and look at our motives, our actions next to God's greatness, it helps us avoid sin. Not out of fear of punishment, but because we want to align ourselves with something much bigger than ourselves.
So that trembling, realizing how small we are compared to God, it actually makes us better.
It does. Reminds us that real peace comes from being in line with God, not trying to control everything ourselves.
Wow. Makes you think how often we do try to do things our own way and how much peace we'd have if we just surrendered, to something bigger.
It's about admitting, we're not really in control.
Right,
And that's
yeah.
okay. Actually, it can be kind of freeing.
Okay, verse 5. Now this one talks about sacrifice. Offer the sacrifices of the righteous and trust in the Lord. Sounds like there's more to sacrifice than just, like, going through the motions.
Oh, absolutely. It's not about, empty rituals
Hmm.
or just how things look on the outside. Real sacrifice is about aligning our will with God's will, giving up our own desires for something bigger.
So living out your faith for real, not just talking about it.
Yeah, it goes back to that set-apart idea. Remember, if we truly believe we're chosen for something special, that should show in how we live, the sacrifices we make.
It makes you think about dedication, huh? To anything, really. Faith, relationships, your passions. It's not just words, it's the effort you put in, the sacrifices, showing up consistently.
Exactly. Real dedication, it takes action, commitment. It's those everyday choices that prove what we truly value.
Now, verse 6, there's this contrast between what most people want and what David's really longing for. He says, many, Lord, are asking, who will bring us prosperity? Let the light of your face shine on us. He's basically saying, forget the riches. I just want you, God.
That's so insightful.
Yeah.
While everyone's chasing prosperity, David's like, nah, true fulfillment, it comes from God's favor. That image of God's face shining, that's way more than just material wealth.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that actually mean, that imagery?
Think about it. When someone's face lights up, it shows joy, right?
Yeah.
Love, approval. So when David asks for that from God, he's asking for guidance, blessing, peace, that deep connection with the divine. That brings lasting joy way more than anything you could buy.
So it's not that being prosperous is bad use, it's just understanding where real fulfillment comes from.
Right. It's recognizing that any blessings, any material stuff, those are gifts from God.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we should receive them with, gratitude, responsibility.
Verse 7 just hammers that home even more.
Yeah.
You have filled my heart with a greater joy than when their grain and new wine abound. It's acknowledging abundance, but joy in God comes first, before any wealth.
It's not about rejecting blessings. It's the perspective, finding joy in God first, then seeing everything else as a gift from him.
Like, yeah, I'm grateful for the good stuff, but my true joy is my relationship with God.
Exactly. And this makes me wonder, for all of us, what brings you as that lasting joy?
Yeah.
Is it stuff or something deeper? What are we chasing after? And is it really giving us that contentment like David describes?
Man, those are some good questions to think about. We get so caught up in wanting more, but are we after the right things?
It's a challenge, to look at our own hearts, see where our priorities truly lie.
Okay, last one, verse 8. This is so powerful. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. This one, chills every time. It's just this beautiful picture of, complete surrender, trust.
It really gets to the heart of it, this whole psalm. True security, true peace. It comes from trusting God. When we put our faith in him, we can actually rest, knowing he's got this.
It's that feeling of knowing no matter what happens, you'll be okay. You're not alone.
Yeah. It's a peace that goes beyond whatever's going on around you. Not about avoiding tough times. It's about having that anchor, holding you steady even in the storm.
It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about facing it all differently. With faith, trust.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, this message, it's not just in this one psalm.
Oh, for sure. This whole trusting God thing, finding joy in him, it's all over the Bible, right?
Absolutely. The stuff we've been talking about, it's woven through Scripture. It's like this psalm is giving us a peek into those bigger, timeless truths.
So it's like a little pocket of wisdom, but it reflects those huge themes of faith, being resilient.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like a mini version of those universal truths that still speak to us today.
And what's really inspiring to me is it's not just head knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's about actually experiencing these truths personally.
That's it. That's the heart of it. Letting these truths change us, our hearts, how we think, what we do.
Okay, so for you listening, if you're feeling weighed down, worried, whatever, take a minute. Really sit with Psalm 4. Let it sink in. Remember, true peace, that security, it doesn't come from stuff. It comes from God.
Shifting that focus, from what we don't have to what we do. That peace that comes from knowing we're loved no matter what.
It's like Psalm 4 is giving us a roadmap, how to go through the ups and downs, but with purpose, peace.
I love that, a roadmap. It's not about avoiding the rough patches. It's about having what you need to get through them. With grace, bouncing back.
Well, I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty inspired after this deep dive. Psalm 4 is short, but man, it's powerful.
It is, packs a punch, right? Speaks to those things we all want deep down. Peace, security, feeling like we belong.
And it reminds us, even when things are tough, there's always hope. Always something bigger we can turn to for strength.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the stuff that matters most.